Andy Street. No personal responsibility.
Let's just do everything for the kids.
No. Let them be kids until they're 60.
Motion approved.
Take care of it.
That's why it's so
Second. Copy of report of the sheriff. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I
Yes.
have a question.
Yes.
Can we know how, I still don't see anything in here relative to the locks and all. I'm just curious if everything is up and running and working, and therefore our capacity, when we look at the number boarded in or boarded out, these cells are fully online, are they?
These cells have been fully online for a period of time, if I'm correct, right, Sheriff?
Just for the record.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Says other.
We don't have any other.
Now we're enjoying.
Okay, we're gonna go to number 3, the approved funding for jail visit.
Thank you.
There has been discussion with another architect in regards to building a jail. I think I'll turn it over to Mr. Bono at this time, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Wallace. I think you can go through the preliminaries and then we can.
And please, Chris, or anybody scream at me if I'm saying too much. We're looking to have 7 of us, be sheriff staff, possibly myself, and probably 4 other legislators, to go to Atlanta, just outside of Atlanta, to look at a jail that's 130 beds or so. The square footage is probably a lot less than what we're looking at, which would decrease the cost of the facility. We think it's the cheapest way for us to take a look with the sheriff's staff, and be able to share that with the Commission of Corrections, whether or not that's feasible for us or not. So I think what we'd like to do is authorize $10,000 for that trip. It would be a 2-day trip, back and forth. It would visit a current facility that's been built within the last year or so, and also view probably either the first day or the second day a fabricator of cells that we have some concerns over, but we'd like to take a look at it because it may be cheaper in the long run.
There's a possibility of saving millions and millions of dollars. And do you want to speak any more on this, Jim or Ray?
I just say, like you say, the savings is substantial. It really is.
It'd be worthwhile.
Yeah, it'd be hard not to look at it, at least, take a look at it, see what it
This
is.
is a different architect that had approached us years ago.
Oh, I'm gonna shoot myself. Can we have the name of this architect?
You know the name. It's Gold. Can we have the name of
Is
it?
this Goldman, Sullivan, and O'Grady, or whatever the devil is?
No,
Or what is the name of the firm?
Goldberg.
Goldberg, Sullivan, and what? This is the
The
firm
person
that,
that was met with was Mr. Goldberg.
I have just a few questions.
Sure.
This is a firm that sent information to this county maybe 4 years ago.
Absolutely.
This is the firm that, when nothing happened here, I think they contacted Mr. Brzezinski. He asked me to call them, and they sent information in that they had sent. And this probably, I guess I'd be interested in knowing how much we've spent since that conversation. But let me do a preface on this. I would celebrate that we could solve this with millions of dollars less. This company from the get-go, and I believe there's probably statements to the effect that what they were talking about is the compression of the size of the jail, not in the 130 beds, as Mr. Wallace just said, but all of that ancillary space. And I think that it's a great idea. I beg your pardon?
That's correct.
I think it's something that some of us have been talking about for some time. I know that when...
Hang on just one second. I want to preface this. Other people have been talking about it, but you have to go to the Department of Corrections to make sure that they would even go along with this.
I appreciate that.
So-
48 months is a long time, Pat, since they came to us. And the money that is...
Absolutely.
Let me say this, I don't
But
want
you
to
know
do
how
this.
government works. It doesn't work quickly.
Well, I know that local government, though, I think the piece that I want to say is that I believe that, I don't know whether this is the firm that should be doing it at all, because I remember that they hadn't built any jails in New York State, but it certainly gives us an opportunity to judge whether you can effectively build a jail that can take care of what some prescribe as the needs of Herkimer County without that, what I would call the grandiose center. The concern I have is, why does it take 7 people to go and evaluate it? You know, what citizens are going to know because of that camera, do we need to send 7 people?
And again, I'll just speak, we thought we have 2 very good people on the board who are construction people. We thought those 2 people should be included. We thought that would be good. I think very important for Chris and his staff to be there, to be honest with you. And I think
Has
the
this
leader of the
gentleman come in and spoken, anybody from this firm come in and spoken with the Public Safety Committee?
No.
Why would we not bring him in to talk to the Public Safety Committee first? I mean, isn't that kind of what happens? It comes from the committee as opposed to this external recommendation of the expense. Bring him in and let him tell us what he did. Let him do I went on my computer the other day and watched an old meeting where Labella stood here and showed us everything that they were going to do, and we watched it from this, and who knows what's gone on with Labella since then.
And there was complaints that wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough. It wasn't good
So-
enough. But why can't the individual come in and talk to the group first before you go down there and find out? I mean, we can spend $10,000 and someone can go down there and say, nope, this isn't going to work for us. Why not bring him in and talk to the group as a whole, instead of the individual conversations that none of us benefit from?
I think it's very important. I think when you're talking 87,000 square feet to 40,000 or 40 and change square feet, you need him to try to do it the cheapest we can without, you know, having him draw plans for us.
I agree. There's no
So we
argument
thought,
there.
and again, I'm just saying, we thought that the smart thing was to say, does this make sense? Doesn't it not make sense? Will it suit the sheriff's needs as well as corrections, which is really the big issue? And we thought the cheap, and again, $10,000 is a lot of money, I understand that.
But why is it outside the committee process? Why isn't the committee and those of us who attend committee meetings to have the dialogue and hear the dialogue collectively with you and then say, boy, this gentleman sounds like he's got some good stuff, let's send the people off?
And this is what we're doing.
No, you're not. You
Sure.
want a motion to send the people off before all of us hear the dialogue about what this company has done and how they've done it. The filtration
But
is what I object to.
anybody can go online and find
It's
it.
the I told you, I gave you guys the website. I think the sheriff at the time
That's what I'm
came up to
saying.
me, who are they?
I don't know
And
what
gave
else you
the
would
name.
learn.
What do you want
That
to
was
know?
2 years
What do
ago.
you want to know?
I don't
What do you want to
understand.
know?
I want
Stop it. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss exactly what you're asking for.
Well, then,
And why are we making a big deal out of it? Please listen for a chance. Just let us go through what it is that we're trying to present to you folks to let you understand what's going on instead of making some political bullshit
it's
out of it.
not a political.
It is.
No,
Stop
it's
it.
not.
Yes, it is.
Don't you
Stop
scream
it.
at me, sir.
Stop
I
it.
raised my hand and I was identified to
Stop
speak on
it.
your part.
Stop
No,
it.
you're the one
Stop it.
that's criticizing.
Stop it.
Oh, damn it.
Motion to
Please.
go in executive session if she wants to do that.
We don't
I
need
want
to go
executive
into, we don't need to
session.
go into executive
Well,
session.
I think she's doing her job.
No executive session.
Would you please explain the conversations, everything that was discussed when Mr. Goldberg came here?
He didn't come here.
Oh, you did it over the phone?
We did it over a conference call. What do you want to know? He says we can build this for this amount of money, at this square footage, come down and take a look at it. If it's not viable, then we're...
That's how
it.
simple this
That's how
is.
simple this
It's
is.
not.
We go look at it, we present it. Here it is, what do you think? You want to pursue it, yes or no? It's that simple.
Mr. Hart.
Well, and I hope it won't cause any outbursts, but I think asking questions and trying to get some input, offer input, is part of our job. And it may be simple to a lot of you, but we're talking millions of dollars. This correct.
What are your,
Okay.
what are your questions?
Do I
What
have
are
the
you,
floor?
what- no, you
Mr.
don't right
Chairman?
now. If I say you do, yes you do. If I
Oh,
say
let
no.
me stand
What are your-
down.
What are your questions?
I am about to explain
Okay, please
what I'm
do.
asking about.
Please do.
I hear, number one, we have a committee system. That's what I usually hear when I'm trying to speak about something.
What
Well,
is
we're not
this meeting right now? It's a committee meeting that we're discussing this about.
I'm getting to what I'm saying, is when I was on previous boards, if we wanted to hire an architect or an engineer, we would like to speak to them first before we spent any money, let alone $10,000. And I also do not believe the sheriff and maybe one staff member and maybe a couple representatives, but I think it's excessive to fly that many people to Atlanta. And guess I'm wondering why Atlanta, and before I get cut off, I hope
Jared?
before I get cut off, can I just say one more
I just want to
thing?
answer that for you. That's the closest site.
Closest
Okay.
facility is
Okay.
Just so you're newest and closest.
Okay. And while we're thinking about this, we'll do, and I'm thrilled, there may be a plan B on this. And if we do go a little smaller in square footage, and we go for a spot that can fit this jail, I would hope we will go for a spot that can also put the county building and open the prime real estate, open a development that developers want.
Yes.
I don't understand.
Mr. Chairman, I just
I
wanted to
can
be clear.
explain it.
Mr. Chairman, I do not object to exploring this. I think that it is the wise thing to be done. I think it should have been done. When I got called within the last year from this firm, I suggested that that individual, I don't know if it was Goldberg, Sullivan, or the other guy, needed to contact one among you in the majority, because I knew by Helen speaking about it 3 years before, it didn't go anyplace. I celebrate that that happened. My point is, we do have a committee process. What you're bringing to this table for a vote is the fruits of private discussion of saying, let's send 7 people down. I question why those conversations don't take place with the firm to find out what they're proposing, so that when I don't distrust, I don't disbelieve what you're telling me, that this is where the closest jail is, etc. I have had at least 2 conversations with that gentleman. It may go no place. I think it's something we should do. I think it's something we should have done. I just question why this gentleman, if he's so interested in our business, let him fly in, talk to us quickly, show the schematics, show the thing, and we can say, you know, this really does, a quick review by the sheriff of it, this looks like it has potential, and then let's send people down to look at it and the numbers that are going. It's backwards. It's what's happening is not a committee process as much as you think that it is.
Mr.
It is
Wallace,
not.
would you please tell me what committee is meeting rate at this point?
Ways and Means and Public Safety.
Okay. Now, does the public safety deal with jail issues?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Bob Heights first.
We're reducing, this proposal is to reduce the current plan by almost half square footage.
Originally, we had a jail that was how many square feet? 87, 80,000?
94, gone down to about 85, 87.
This gentleman has talked to
Right, me.
you.
For 45,000, 44
I
in the
think
vicinity.
the jail, I think, were you sheriff, were you involved in the conversation? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, if you're,
It says he can do the same amount, you handle it in the same way with about a 40-some-odd thousand square footage.
okay, my concern is, if you're cutting the jail size in half, where are you cutting it? Which doesn't matter to me. The only thing I'm concerned about, is it going to meet New York State's requirements? Cell space, living space. If it doesn't meet New York State requirements, you might as well forget about going to Atlanta, because it's not going to do you any
We're
good.
going to discuss that.
He says it would comply with all New York State. Here's my notes. Hands-on approach with the sheriff. Are you willing to go comply with New York State? Larry said yes, fully compliant. ACI, the PREA jail design, he has to accommodate that.
Those are new regulations,
New
guys coming, so he
regulations.
was on top of that, so we thought that was a very good thing.
Square footage of the cells meets state code.
Okay, that would be my concern.
We've asked all those preliminary things, Bob,
Yeah.
but I think to see the flow, I think you need a couple, well, I don't care if it's 1 or 20.
My understanding
Somebody's gotta
is,
take a look
He
at that.
recommends a tour.
my understanding is he's willing to come in, is that correct?
Larry will come here in a heartbeat. He's
Absolutely.
stressed it. But I thought to go look at the facility, if it doesn't meet our needs, we walk down there and say, why waste the gentleman's time to come in and do a quick presentation, and we go, it doesn't make it. Larry, the facility in Georgia is very close to what we're looking at here.
So Ways and Means would just simply, if the body wanted to approve it the Ways and Means will simply take care of the money. Your committee can handle this however you think is best appropriate.
Any questions?
Gary?
As a follow-up to Mr. Russell's question, this is a public safety committee. Is the proposed architect here? There's a proposed architect here to speak to the committee, the public committee. As a follow-up to Mr. Russell's question, or whether the committee is here.
No.
Thank you.
I think he just left.
And just one more point, I think if we go, someone goes to Atlanta and finds out, it wouldn't be worth wasting the guy's time to come here. Perhaps be a little more cost effective to have the guy come here and find out whether it be a waste of time and money to go to Atlanta.
Mr. Russell, you commented that this has to be approved by the state commission. I assume that you were saying that, you know, preliminary things had to be done. Has the State Commission on Corrections been approached on this at all?
Yes.
Yes.
And can we be told what they've said?
They said there was no problem with the firm. They talked to the feds are extremely happy with them, and we can work with them.
He's an approved architect.
I want to thank Mr. Johnson for pursuing the contact that I gave him and bringing this before the group. It's a voice of reason, and I'm not convinced that we should be sending 7 people down. I hope it's a representative group. Certainly sending someone with construction knowledge is important, but I hope it's a representative group, not just all those that are aye, or nay, but a mixture of both. Thank you. And I guess, depending on your 7, I might be willing to pay out my own cost and go along to have the minority view. Thank you.
I'm not sure who the 7 are, but I asked that people on this, people on the legislature who did have construction experiences be people that would go.
I'd recommend that the sheriff, the undersheriff, Captain McGrail, Mr. Johnson, who's got expertise, myself, I got a little background, Mr. Wallace, and another legislator, whether it be Mr. Hendricks or Mr. Hyde, go along with us. Mr.
If
Hyde.
you would allow self-pay, I certainly would enjoy the trip and pay myself. Thank you.
I think it's worth it to save millions of dollars.
However, is it something that you want to, how quick could this guy come up? If the committee wanted to be addressed.
Really, very quickly, I'm not sure if I could have him here the 12th. I couldn't speak for Larry. I'll give him a buzz afterwards, a meeting.
Well, you wouldn't do it the 12th.
No, I know.
You would have to have a separate meeting, so
Yeah,
he could have as much time as he needed. I think. That's just me thinking, right?
Yeah,
You don't want to give him 15 minutes before a meeting.
no.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is just okaying up to that amount.
Absolutely.
We don't necessarily have
No,
to.
because,
Spend all the time.
Kurt, we don't know if we're going tomorrow, next week, and you know flights. We had $235 the other day for flights to Atlanta.
You can get-
That can go to $500 today.
You can get reasonable flights, yeah.
How,
I think you do it for a lot.
$235 is not bad.
Is there a purpose to have to do it sooner rather than later?
I think my concern is what's happening to steel prices, what's talking with Ben Bernanke and the interest rates, all those kinds of things, Mr.
Yeah.
So I just think the quicker the better.
Do we
Larry
know
did
the
send me a-
impact that has with our current contract?
I think we go into executive session and
The
talk.
impact of what you could be investigating, what impact it has on the contract that we have with our current architect?
Yes, we do.
And at what point will that be shared outside your sphere of connection?
Executive session.
Okay,
If you want
that's
to take
executive
advice
session.
of counsel at the executive session, I'd recommend.
John?
Mr. Chairman, years ago, maybe 3 years ago, this fellow contact, we spoke, this fellow, and I was kind of hoping that we would get a more special look at what he could do for us here. But it never happened. For what reason, I don't know.
It has happened.
Well, now, yeah. But I'm talking about 3 years ago. Maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, let me just-
Wait. Let me finish, okay? That happened years ago. Second of all is that the people that are gonna go down there and the people that are knowledgeable about construction, I have 45 years of construction.
Okay.
Who has more years than I do that's gonna go down there on construction.
Building what, Mr. Brzezinski?
Doing anything.
Really? For Niagara Mohawk?
That's right. Concrete, steel work, everything.
Okay.
That's right. And I'm not criticizing you, I'm just saying that what you people should do is kind of look at everybody, to see
I
what the
totally
background is of every, and I mentioned this before a lot, looking at the background of everybody to see who would best fit on even the committees. I don't even want to get in over there.
So just-
I'm just saying that this is what happened, and I know that I was one of them that was with Dennis, and I know it's a very simple construction thing that we built down at the Humane Society down there, but I was one of them that did it, okay? I say no more. You handle what you gotta do. Thank you very much.
Well, a year or so ago, Helen handed me that stuff.
Mhm.
The problem is that you can't waste your time until you believe that the commission's gonna say okay to this. So, and as you know, the commission people change.
Mr. Chairman,
So, yeah.
this could have been discussed with, I mean, we can't skate on this one. This could have been discussed with the commission a long time ago. If this just came about, again, I celebrate that it got to the right ears this time to be considered. And I think we should learn from that. It may not go anyplace, it may not work out. I celebrate going forward that we're doing it. But I do think a look back may modify our behaviors for future issues.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
one of the main differences is they have 4-bed jails down there. New York State requires 2-bed jails. That's gonna be the big sell for corrections. If they can build the same jail with 2 beds instead of the 4 beds they have down there in the same square footage, it should be a no-brainer. We need to see how it fits, and that's it.
So the issue for your committee is whether you want to have the meeting first with this gentleman, or do you want to go down and look? And then Ways and Means, obviously, will discuss whether or not the expenses up to $10,000 can be approved. And where would that money come from?
We're looking, we've asked, I've called it to Tricia Lucas as our candidate to see if the money that's appropriated for the jail charges right now, which is tobacco money, could be used for it. She was away from her office, I haven't gotten an answer yet. If we can use that, then that would be used, otherwise we'd have to appropriate money for contingency, I would assume.
Okay, I think it's all yours.
Are you approving, just a question, are you approving the trip, or are you going to follow up with Mr. Johnson bringing someone in before the trip?
That's what his committee is going to be. Once his committee decides what they want to do, then the Ways and Means can take up, if there's anything to take up, that issue.
Do I have a motion? I'd like to, I personally would like to have the architect come up, speak to us.
I'm texting him now.
And then, so do I have a motion to bring the architect in to speak? And Bruce?
Yes.
Bob second, and then to proceed with going down to Atlanta after we talk to the architect. I have a motion and a second for that. Any discussion? All those in favor of what, public safety?
Aye.
Opposed?
So Pat, your move.
Yeah. So we'll discuss that once public safety and emergency management comes back to us. But maybe you should have us at the same meeting in case we want to do it right after he talks.
Well, it'll be a big meeting.
I'm talking about in terms of the committee.
Oh,
I mean, I'm sure you're going to open it up to everybody, but in terms of having a committee meeting,
If he's willing to do it in an evening, that would be wonderful.
I think Ray's checking.
He's on the
right
phone
now.
now.
Okay.
And I would ask, Pat, could I would ask everybody, I don't care if you're working or what, make the time to meet with this guy. Seriously, because that way, it alleviates a lot of questions. You can't say you didn't get to ask him any questions.
I would ask if we have an executive session at some point to understand the other complications that this could present.
Can we have a motion to go into executive session, please, to talk about, okay, I'm sorry. We'll finish the other two items.
Don't go on.
Approved payment of special district attorney's fees.
Yeah, that's executive session for proposed litigation.
Oh, is that?
The next two round?
Is that, Jim, the other one?
What about 5?
It's matters leading to the appointment of particular person or corporation.
Excuse me, number 5 is executive session?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I have a
Okay.
question why number 5 is executive session. We're talking about benefits to a position. We're not talking about an individual, we're talking about benefits to a position
Yes, sir. It's employment
of an individual.
of a particular person or corporation.
I'm not talking about a particular person, we're talking about a position.
No, we're talking about a particular person.
I'm not, I'm asking for
Do I have a
ruling on
motion from public
It's my
safety going into
opinion.
executive
It is
session?
a person.
I would like to know why we're in executive session on number 4. Is that proposed litigation or
Yes.
past litigation?
Second?
Sure.
Jim? All those in favor of public safety? Opposed?
And
We're
do
in
you want to
executive
talk
session.
about- You want to talk about that other legal matter that?
Yeah, did you throw in there the contractual?
Yes, I have it on, I've got it
So
written.
that'd be another.
I beg your pardon?
That has the advice.
Which one?
Existing architects. That'd be a third issue we'll be discussing.
Yeah, I need a motion from Ways and Means to go into executive session. All in favor, Ways and Means?
Motion in public safety.
Opposed, Bill?
Anyone
Wait,
opposed?
yeah, there's a lot of opposed, but nobody spoke.
Roll call,
Anybody
please.
opposed on
Roll
pay?
call, please.
Russell,
Yes.
Course,
No.
What's he doing?
Smith,
Yes.
Weekly. Austin. Yeah, we're gonna need them, Vern.
What is the motion you're voting on?
This is to pay the 33 and change to the special district attorney fees.
33.
And for the money to be appropriated through contingency.
All right, so Brett.
Start over again, please. Russell?
Wait for Weekly.
Let's see.
So this is to pay the council on the Fiberdyne case.
Yes. And what's the total on that?
$33,407.27.
187.25 hours for $175 an hour.
Russell,
Yes.
Course,
No.
Smith,
Yes.
Weekly,
He's not here
absent. Ackerman,
No.
Bono,
Yes.
it's defeated. You got 2 people missing.
Okay, might come up at the end.
You can revote, sure.
That's why we need a Bruce.
Will that resolution have both committees on it?
Hey, Tim,
If
you have
so,
the
should we
girls
have a
find
resolution
Bruce.
from public safety?
Call him on his cell phone, do whatever we gotta do.
Will that resolution have both committees on it?
It
What's
would
that?
if- It would if it wasn't moved right now.
I'm just saying, if
Could they have put it in the...
public safety's gonna be on it, should we be considering it anyway?
You want to vote on it now?
No.
Do I have a motion in public safety
We're
moving
missing
forward?
Bruce again.
Now we're still missing people. We don't
Why
have
waste
more.
our time?
We don't have.
Stand at ease for
He's still here. Okay, so we want to talk about number 5, benefits for contracted assigned council position. Mr. Mullen, suggestion is to amend number 28 of 2012. Go ahead, Mr. Malone, your amendment would read.
It would, to remove provision of health insurance benefits for the administrator of the assigned council program.
Is there a motion, Ways and Means, to remove the benefit, health insurance benefit?
We've been told we may not by the state, correct?
No, by our health insurance carrier.
Our health insurance carrier, not the state? I thought the
Right.
state.
They're involved in other things then. They're involved in the retirement side of it.
Okay, okay. So move.
I'll second it. Is there any other discussion on it? Yes.
When When we first entered into this, I questioned whether it was wise or not to extend health insurance to a contractor versus an employee. And I was told by the IRS, when you're measuring whether someone is a contractor or an employee, one of the clearly discernible factors would be, are you extending an employee benefit to someone you're terming a contractor? I'm pleased that we've determined now that we shouldn't have done this. I also believe that in the cases where we have done with contractors extended benefits, be it health insurance or other forms of insurance, malpractice, whatever those benefits might be, that we be ever vigilant of our responsibilities to place it on the 1099 to the contractor. And I appreciate that Mr. Wallace has assured me that we're looking at those other circumstances where we've extended health insurance and then corrected 1099s to be issued. I am interested to know who is responsible for following up with that, though. Had I not raised the issue, how does it get caught in our system? Who does do that? To know that when we're extending a cost of something like that, that it should be captured.
I'm trying to understand the question.
All right, I brought the issue that we
Absolutely.
had the individual in assigned counsel receiving health insurance as an employee, and it should be a 1099, reflected in the 1099. Do we have anything in our organization that checks and modifies it? Does our personnel office pay attention to that? And if not, is that where it
Well, I
should be
think our
vested?
county attorney pays attention, I think that Steve in his office pays attention, and I think Jerry pays attention. And again, I don't want to get into a long
Right.
debate. I truly believe the IRS says we can extend that benefit.
I'm talking about the taxable nature of the benefit.
Then it's taxable. But I think, I just want to make sure, I think I heard it a little differently.
No, okay, no,
The
I'm talking about
health insurance
taxing
is
it.
saying, no, we can't do that.
No, I didn't think we should have done it from the get-go.
Right,
but
no,
we
and I
did.
agree with you.
But we did, so then I followed in my brain, connected the dots and said, well, if you're doing it, even if I don't think you should have, if you are doing it, who watches that the individual is then taxed on it? I brought it to I called and I asked the questions and then we've determined that it needs to be. I'm pleased that that happened, but I want to know in terms of any future cases.
Our auditor, that's her responsibility.
It is her responsibility to review
She'll work with
contracts for
Steve and she'll
benefits.
work with Rob, absolutely.
Okay, so any contracts that have those kinds of.
Usually
things.
go through the IRS or retirement, that she's going to be involved.
Thank you.
And her office is going to be involved.
Okay. For clarification purposes of the media, we do not appoint this person. This person is the recommendation of the Bar Association to the legislature.
They can recommend any person.
We determine the benefits.
We
The
determine
value of the
the
contract.
compensation.
Right.
Well, via contract, yeah. Any other questions, Ways and Means issue? All in favor, in Ways and Means, of amending resolution number 28 to take out the benefit of health insurance?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, the motion carries in Ways and Means.
Do I have a motion in public safety?
So move.
Bob, Dennis? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, we need to go back to number 4 in regards to approving payment of a special district attorney's fees. I'd like to reopen that up and ask for a motion. I move the motion to pay for the special district attorney's fees. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay,
Discussion?
it's going to be a roll call vote, I assume,
Discussion.
again, discussion.
There is an appeal process of the bill that we may go through. So I feel we should exercise that and not just go right out and pay it.
And could we have, as part of the motion, to go through the appeal process first, or would you go through the appeal process?
It's two different things. If it's paid, then there'd be no appeal process. If you wanted to contest the bill, then we would not approve payment of it.
Okay.
I have a question over here.
Yeah.
Do you know how many hours it would take your office, Rob, to do the appeals?
No. I don't know how many
How
hours.
are we gonna
The process
operate?
would take place in county court first. And then depending on the judge's decision, there's also, there's a possibility of appeal to a higher court. That would be very, very time consuming. process in county court would be less time.
But the issue is, can you say that?
Sure.
I mean, the issue is what are you going to try to appeal? The cost, the hourly rate? I mean, I think the attorney would like some kind of direction.
Well, when we hire attorneys, what do we pay an hour? When we've hired outside attorneys, what's the going rate?
The issue is,
Seldom do that.
Well, when we do,
well, we paid
I
more
think
than
we
that.
pay 200.
Yeah, we paid more than
Why can't we set a rate like we do assign counsel for this?
It's up to the judge to approve the bill, not up to the county.
I understand.
See in the
I
defense.
personally,
See
I'm
in
not on
the
the fence.
Hang on, please, Mr. Hartman's got the floor.
I would like to suggest, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Malone, but at least to file, since they didn't file a notice, to request a notice and go to court and, request a notice, raise an objection, and go to court and make a case. At least to go that far, it wouldn't be extremely time consuming, I wouldn't think, and we have a paid county attorney staff. I think it's worth pursuing, because we had no say in the matter, we don't know what this gentleman did during those hours, and when we were supposed to get a notice to be heard, and we didn't get a notice to be heard, I think we should be heard. That's,
But what is he gonna raise an objection to?
That parking tickets aren't generally that expensive, because when you got it all done, that's what they got.
There's a very detailed voucher of 187.25 hours spent in, majority of it in preparation for trial and in the actual appearance before the court, as well as all the grand jury proceedings.
Well, the least they should have done then is recoup the court's costs from the perpetrators. The least of that. This money should be coming out of what those people got off with.
There's no room in the statute for reimbursement of these types of costs. There's no provision.
Well, then the fine should have been bigger for that they had to pay.
No, Mr. Chairman, there's really no connection between the two in the law.
Okay.
We have the.
I understand that.
We know, I guess, and I hope this can be part of it, because we're faced with this expense, and apparently we really have little control over it. The fact that it actually went to a trial, was that made by a decision made by the district attorney's office, or by this assigned counsel, or not assigned counsel, the special prosecutor? Was that the individual that determined it should go forward to trial?
The special district attorney acts in the place of the district attorney and has all the district attorney's powers and duties.
So he's the one that made the decision, this person that we're going to pay this money to made the decision it should go to trial?
Prosecutorial decisions are made by the prosecutor.
So the DA who declared a conflict had nothing to do with this even going forward to trial,
No, he
or
did
the
not.
investigation?
No, he did not.
Okay. So the guy that we're going to pay the money to is the one that said, I want to take this to trial?
Yeah, but remember, it is a court approval process, and the fees have been approved by the court.
He said, I want to go to trial, and they'll pay me.
Mr. Hyde?
If we contest this,
Much more than
there's a good possibility that he can go back and refigure that bill, raise his rate, and you'll be paying the 40,000 minimum.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, is that?
I don't know, I think it'd be hard to do
It's already got
that.
it on paper, how can you change
The
it?
more fear we have.
I think the bill that we have is the bill that we have. I don't expect it to change.
Yeah, I guess we.
Rob, can you, if you appeal it, can you just go to the first level, just to local court, and not go to the next one and spend all the money?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should we make a motion just to do that, Rob?
Well, we can, we already have a motion, I believe, on the floor.
Yes, you do.
Don't you generally, before you go on to the next court, come back to us anyway and say, this is what happened, shall I go forward?
I would need to.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to pay the bill.
Russell,
Yes.
Corse,
No.
Smith,
Yes.
Weekly,
No?
Paplunski, no. Ackerman,
No.
Bono,
Yes.
Beat again. That,
More.
That
Okay,
means you're
do we
doing
have a
what-
motion
Yes.
do we have a motion to ask Mr. Malone to go, in regards to the notice and raise objection to the bill?
So moved.
Is there a second to that?
Are you saying a full shot or just a local?
When you come back after.
Whatever opportunity is afforded under the law to examine the bill, that's what we would authorize the county attorney to do.
So that's your motion.
That's the motion.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this?
can I ask something, Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Is it possible for our attorney, and Rob, I should ask you before, can you sit down with them and just say, we think this is not the right bill, that, maybe you can go from 175 to 125?
Can you put up $7,000 for the bus?
No, I'm just saying, can you
How much will
negotiate
you
that
take?
for you?
How much will you take?
And I probably shouldn't be asking you in open
If
session.
you file the notice, a request for a notice, you're gonna do that, right?
Hang on a second.
You asked them to adjust it for you, you know, that.
The county's entitled to notice and an opportunity to be heard. If the resolution is adopted by the full legislature next Wednesday, then I would be going in and objecting to the bill. And during the course of those proceedings, I could engage in negotiations, or I could engage in them now before you adopt any such resolution, if that's what you want.
That's what I was asking.
I think we should do that.
What's your feel on it, Rob?
That's all I was asking.
I think it's a reasonable step to take, and therefore you need no further action at this time.
Are we running against certain time, trying to get started when we file your request for notice? Between now and our next meeting, the 30 days or whatever, is the clock ticking?
Clock is ticking, but I'll see you again next Wednesday. Maybe I'd have more to tell you by then.
Well, we could do a resolution and then also authorize him to meet with them prior. Is that a fair thing to do, since if we do need to deal with this on Wednesday?
And you pull it. I mean, then you wouldn't have to call another committee meeting to do another resolution. If negotiations are fruitful, you can always pull it.
That'd be fair.
Okay, so we have Dennis's motion, yes. Oh, you have a question?
Yeah, on that Dennis's motion, I think he's saying that he's giving Rob the okay to go the full step on this. Right, not just a local?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
you want to go out any way we can go?
Well, whatever our review process
I wouldn't
is,
answer.
I'm authorizing our county attorney to do it. By my motion.
Can I, point of order, can I talk to the attorney a second?
Well, wait a minute, we're trying to clarify his motion.
I
We
don't want
defeated
somebody's questions answered.
the motion to pay the bill. So I said, let's authorize the county attorney to do whatever negotiations he can that the law allows.
Okay, and then you have a point of order.
Can I talk to the attorney a second?
Yeah.
Can I restart?
Oh, okay.
Just don't want to talk about it.
I don't know, we can. Go ahead.
I just think, Dennis, that's given them too much authority to spend money on such a small thing. If he has to go to.
Oh, you mean our county, oh, no,
Well,
I'm talking about us negotiating the bill. Looking at getting our opportunity to comment on the bill.
That's not what you said, what you're saying, go to the full litigation after the next court.
I said authorize the county attorney to discuss the bill.
Right, but what you're saying, to go all the way, like Rob said, he can go to the one level.
What I said is authorize the county attorney to discuss the bill with the people. Gave us
That's
the.
different. That's different than what they took it. Pat, he's agreeing with what Bruce said, to go to to discuss it with him, not to go to the full, to the next court level if.
Well, we were not given an opportunity to review, correct? And we could have had that opportunity to review.
Notice an opportunity to be heard by the court, so it's an appearance before the court.
Okay.
Okay. Is that your motion?
But you're saying it could be resolved without an appearance in front of the court?
I have no idea. I don't know.
You don't know?
try.
Make both of them.
I'll make both of them then, okay.
Step
Do you
one.
want both of them?
Yeah, step one. I think that's what I'm hearing from people.
I don't have a problem.
Step
Authorized to go meet the notice requirements.
Basically, there isn't support in this committee to just pay the bill.
Right.
So we're trying to come up with an alternative. The alternative is to discuss the bill and/or object to the bill.
Authorize for me to make appropriate objections to the court.
Yes,
And negotiate between.
both formal and informal. How's that?
Yeah, and if there's
There
any,
you go.
and if there's any negotiations in between. Is that fair?
I don't need authority to negotiate. I would engage in those discussions.
So be it.
So, Dennis's
But you want those
motion,
resolutions
Dennis's
anyway.
motion is to raise an objection to the,
I mean, there's no support to paying the bill means there's an objection.
Correct.
so that's your motion.
Yeah,
Well,
both informally and formally object to the bill. How's that?
Subject to the process.
Wow.
Roll call.
is there a second to that?
Kurt, we had your second, you okay with that?
You still good with it that way, Kurt?
Just local court.
Yeah, some good.
So I have a motion and a second to raise an objection within local court in regards to this bill.
Both
We all-
formally and informally. How's
But we
that?
also understand that Mr. Malone will do any informal negotiations that he can in the time prior to Wednesday. Any more discussion on that?
I just want to say, wow.
Okay, all in favor of that motion, ways and means?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried.
Motion, public safety, Bob, second.
Second.
Bruce, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Anything else for public safety?
I made decisions like this.
It better be important.
It is. Larry can be here the 17th at 7:30, it's all set up.
7:30? Okay.
I'll give it to Jim and let Carol,
7:30?
7:30.
What day?
17th.
Okay, there'll be a meeting, did you hear that? 7:30 on the 17th with Larry Goldberg.
Okay,
Yeah.
motion to adjourn?
Heat up Larry's session.
Public safety.
That'll be a public safety meeting on the 17th?
No, public safety.
Well, it'll be joint, it should be, just in
Public
case.
safety.
It'll go a lot smoother if it's just public
That's
safety.
good.
Well, you
because
can have
it's a
some
public hearing in
additional
the town
to
of
that.
Herkimer, I'm correct?
That would be.
It's a public safety meeting, but should we be
Bob, do we
there?
have a
That's what I'm
motion
saying, you
to
can
adjourn?
have, what do you mean, just
Jimmy,
in case.
Yes, that's what that's what I'd
All
like
those
to
in
do.
favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thanks, man. Sure?